So finally, starting this Sunday, May the 3rd, we will have some semblance of normalcy return to Bangkok and the rest of the country. So we can go out for dining in restaurants and we can go out for some outdoors exercises for some recreations activities. So good news.
Yes, some activities will resume, but not 100% the same as like before COVID-19. That is for sure, Kun Thepchai. Because even though some business activities will be relaxed, but it has to bring up with new style of facilities and new style of services, because we are still living with COVID-19 situation.
Yeah, a lot of social distancing measures still need to be observed. It doesn't mean that things are returning to normal right away or in total. And as the spokesman of the Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, Dr. Tavisin Viswanuyotin, emphasized again today that now it has become the responsibility of everyone in the society to help make sure that there won't be a resurgence of the virus. That means that we need to make sure that even though life is returning to normal to some extent, but everyone has to make sure that all these social distancing measures will be strictly observed. So everyone has a duty, to make sure that this will be the case.
Yes, all of us have to help one another in order to fight this COVID-19 pandemic. And this can be called the first phase of ease of the lockdown, and they will have to observe what the result will be coming out after 14 days. And if the new cases of infection lower than 30, perhaps they will try to relax in the second phase of the ease of the lockdown.
Yeah, and now so the next 14 days will be very crucial because the authorities will keep a close watch on how these things will turn out after the stringent measures are relaxed, whether or not people will cooperate enough to make sure that there will be enough of social distancing that people will not be exposed to contracting the disease.
That's right. And let's take a look for what happened today. It's 4 days in a row, Kun Thepchai, in which new cases of infection below 10. Today, new case of infection is 7 and no new death. And the case of infection come from returnees who come back to Thailand and people who are in state quarantine and in active case finding. So in sum, no new case from local infection for monitoring and health service system.
Yeah, this is interesting because Dr. Tavisin made it a point to mention the 4 of the new cases today. The 4 were a result of the so-called, as Gunata said, active case finding. Medical authorities have, over the past many days, been engaging in so-called active finding over the past several days among target communities. So if they believe that there are certain communities that could be infections among the people in there, so they would do this so-called active case finding. The aim is to detect the contagious disease, and those who are tested positive will be put under state quarantine to reduce potential transmission. So this is sort of an offensive measure by the medical authorities to find the people who might be infected with the virus and then isolate them, put them on state quarantine to make sure that they do not spread the virus. So that means that there could be more numbers of new cases in the next few days if these so-called active case findings continues.
That's right. And now let's take a look of what are the measures that still have to be maintained from now on. Like what we know for sure is the extension of the state of emergency. And the curfew have to be maintained from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. Still the ban on sales of alcohol and ban on mass gatherings and non-essential inter-provincial travel. This is still very crucial, Kun Thepchai, because the government doesn't want to encourage too much traveling. especially between provinces.
Yeah, and the next few days will be important because there will be long holidays, and the government hope that people will not take that opportunity to travel back to their hometowns in the provinces.
That's right. And they still have to maintain strict control of international flights. This is very strict control, and the inbound flight, commercial inbound flights cannot take place anytime soon, at least until 31st of May, because as we have reported, new cases of infection tend to come from Thai returnees from abroad. That's why they still have to be careful. And with tourism, new arrival cannot enter Thailand yet, like Chinese tourists cannot allow to enter Thailand at this very moment. And also they maintain 14-day state quarantine for overseas arrival. And working from home still have to be maintained at least for 50% of the workforce.
Now we have been talking to a number of state agencies and private companies, and most reported that they have been complying with this work from home directive. And I talked to one of the ministries, people in one ministry today, and they said that 70% of their workforce is now working from home. So, and they intend to keep it that way, at least in compliance with the directive that will still be in place for the next 1 month. So I think the reason is quite clear, because if more people are back on the streets, going to work as they used to, then the chance of containing the spread of the virus will be even smaller. So that's why this work from home directive still needs to be maintained.
But I can notice, Khun Thepchai, in the past few days, we can see clearly that traffic is much busier than before, more cars on the road. That perhaps because people feel relaxed and they would like to resume normal activity back again.
That's right, yeah. As Khun Natha mentioned, that what we just reported are just the first stage of the relaxation of the disease control restrictions. And this will be applied nationwide. But governor of each of the provinces has the authority to impose stricter measures to deal with the pandemic if necessary. But they cannot resort to measures less stringent than what was announced by the CCSA today. So that means that governor of each of the provinces has the authority to really make sure that these new measures are complied with. But if there is a slip, and say if there is sudden evidence of a resurgence of the disease, then the governor has the authority to impose stricter measures to make sure that that doesn't happen.
So that means the benchmark of all the rules of the stringent measure is governed or identified by Center of COVID-19 Situation Administration, or CCSA, in which each province has to comply with the guideline and rules from CCSA.
Yeah.
And now,
but what got the attention of most people today was the announcement of the businesses and social activities that can resume starting this Sunday, Khun Natha.
Yes. Now let's take a look what are business activities that can reopen this Sunday. The first group are markets. All types of market, including wet, community and floating markets, walking streets, roadside vendors can resume. So that
basically it means that our markets that we are familiar with will resume business as usual starting this Sunday. Every type of market that have been the livelihood, the lifeline of Bangkokians will resume their business starting this Sunday.
Yes, because if you are familiar with Bangkok life, you will know how street vendors, food vendors, or all the local informal economy are really important, like bloodline of Bangkok. Also, eateries are allowed to reopen, Khun Thepchai. Restaurants, food shops, coffee shops, ice cream parlors, and food trucks are allowed to reopen as well. These are also very important for Bangkok people and Thai people.
Yeah, but except for restaurants and food shops in department stores and shopping malls, those are not yet allowed to reopen this Sunday. So there will be another period of 14 days for the authorities to observe the result of this relaxation of the measures. And then after 14 days, they will evaluate and come up with a decision whether or not to continue with the relaxation or even to expand it to cover other aspects of the businesses and social activities.
The third group of business that can reopen is retail businesses, supermarket, convenience stores, including dine-in sections, mobile grocery stores, community retail stores, and mobile phone shops are allowed to reopen this Sunday. So that can be including IT, telecom products, mobile products that can be returning to near normal. But of course, the facility arrangement in each shop will have to be maintained to comply with the new guideline to keep social distancing.
And then we have sports and social activities. And so that means that starting this Sunday, recreation activities in public park, outdoor exercises and sport activities, with the exception of body contact and team sports, will be allowed to resume.
Yes.
Of course, outdoors, sports, include tennis, badminton, and archery. So the people who love to exercise now will have a good chance to go back to their courts, to the playgrounds, and resume their favorite activities.
Team sport mean football, basketball, or other team sports cannot resume at this stage. Only walking, jogging, or just one-person activity. Another type of business are beauty and hair salons can reopen, like only for haircut, hair wash, and blow drying services. And other business activities, including pet grooming salons and clinics, and that will be effective from this Sunday until 31st of May.
So these are the businesses and social activities that will go back to life again with some limitations, of course, starting this Sunday. Of course, good news for all these proprietors, all these small, medium-sized businesses, which have suffered quite heavily from the economic impact of the pandemic.
Yes, the government planned 4 stages of relaxation, Kunthepchai. So this will be the first stage. The next one will have to take 2 full months for reassessment and for full reopening of all activities, provided the number of new cases is manageable. And they plan, what they aim at is to have new infection do not exceed 30 in 14 days after the reopening of and more relaxation that would be coming. So the next 14 days are quite crucial for the first phase of evaluation after reopening.